Good evening. My name is Sandy Golding, and I'm president of Beaches Watch. We are hosting this candidate forum tonight, and really glad to see this turnout because we love to see citizens that care and citizens that are involved and that want to be educated voters. I also want to thank the candidates for being here tonight and participating in this forum. In case you don't know about Beaches Watch is a nonpartisan, nonprofit citizens organization that was established in 2004. Our mission is to educate and involve citizens in the issues that affect the quality of life here at our beaches. And as a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, we do not endorse candidates. We strictly are in the position to educate people so that citizens can make informed decisions and be involved. Tonight, our candidates for mayor are Penny Christian, Charlie Latham, and Mitch McHugh. And then our candidates for seat 1 at large are Chris Hoffman, John McGowan, and Fernando Meza. So, let's get started. For the candidates' opening statements, please tell us about yourself and why you're running for office. And our first candidate tonight is going to be Charlie Latham, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everybody from Beaches Watch for organizing this, and thank all of you that came. It's encouraging to see so much interest in our local government, and I'm very grateful that you're here. I've got a website, charlielatham.com, that's got tremendous amounts of information about my background and my vision. I think what makes me stand out a little bit from my opponents is that I've got a clearly defined plan to make Jacksonville Beach a better place to be. And I hope you look at my website on charlielatham.com. I do want to address, I actually had a question online that I want to be able to get out here before we start because we don't have much time to talk. There was a website, Facebook page, Jacksonville Beaches Politics asked the question, if acquiring a $10 million loan for a business, if acquiring a $10 million loan for your business is something to be proud of, you didn't finance that, the people did. Well, I want to first congratulate them for having Barack Obama on their Facebook admin. But in fact, the SBA loan that we got in our business, and it's being questioned, was a 504 loan that was applied for and approved. We got a $4 million loan from our parent bank as well as a $4.3 million conventional loan. And we financed we paid in $2.5 million for our initial setup on the loan. So we've collateralized $12.5 million on an $8.3 million loan. The reason I'm answering this question, and I think it's important, the person that asked the question was pretty right, because we want to get all the information from our candidates. Any questions or concerns, get them out there. Most of what we do is public record and is available online. If you go to the Duval County Public Records on the search engine, it'll take you to Duval County Records. You can plug names of the candidates in there and find out what's on the public record. But I'm qualified, ready, and eager to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mitch McHugh. I'd like to tell you all thank you for taking time out of your day, or your evening, I should say, from your families to come hear us all talk about our visions and plans for the city. It will affect each and every one of you here in the near-distant future. Yes, I'm a 44-year-old single father. I'm a retired Jacksonville fireman. I was in real estate until the boom hit. Many of you know that. I was a military contractor in Iraq for the past 3 years. I had to come back due to some unforeseen incidents involving my family. I currently run a handyman business. I've lived here all of my life. Born, bred, raised here, never left here. I left here for about 2 months, went down to St. Augustine, obviously to get away from coming back from Iraq. I think a lot of people do that when you come back from Iraq. If anybody's been there, you know what I'm going at. Simple, why am I doing this? A lot of people say, are you crazy? What are you doing? Well, first of all, you got to think about this for a second. This could tarnish my name for the rest of my life, or it could make my name look good. And in the end, I want my name to look good. I don't have all the answers. Y'all do. We together can save our beach and turn it around to make it a great place to live, collectively. I'm here to give the people a voice. You want to be heard? I promise you, you'll be heard. My door will be open. My phone will be open. Call me anytime. Might be a little booked up, but I'll get back to you. I promise you that, and that's my promise to you. Thank you.
I think this works. Can you all hear me? Yes. I want to thank Beaches Watch for once again having this. They have done this over the past few years, and it's truly important that you all be educated and to see how all of us feel in terms of trying to make our beach a better place. I came here in 1953. I'm an old timer, kind of like Mitch, but my father brought me here originally, or my family. I came here later on and collectively have been here with my husband Sam for, I guess 40 some odd years. You can also check my website. I went to Vanderbilt for my undergraduate. I went to the University of Tennessee for my graduate work. I came back here. I worked at the Smith Clinic, and then later on opened the Beaches Resource Center at Fletcher, which was just a really great experience. And I just want to tell you, there have been some issues about, well, you know, gosh, term limits, you said you weren't going to run, this sort of thing. Times change. And I hadn't originally planned to run, but I really do think that Jacksonville Beach deserves experienced leadership and the person that knows what it's doing. And I think this is the important thing, to understand the importance of our unique beach town character and our quality of life. You all know me. I've been here and I've worked very hard. You know, I've worked to make Jacksonville Beach a better place before I was long on the council. I'm not running for mayor just because I want to be mayor. You can count on me to bring my experience to City Hall, and we're going to keep Jacksonville Beach moving forward. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Hoffman. I'm running for Jacksonville Beach City Council Seat 1, and I know what a lot of you are thinking right now. Oh, Chris is a female. Indeed, I am. That was my laugh line, everybody. Let's go. I know we had a serious couple of introductions right now, but I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit here. A little bit about me. I've lived and worked in this community for most of my life. My schooling includes Neptune Beach Elementary, Fletcher High School, the University of Florida, and most recently I got my master's in business administration from the University of North Florida. That was just this past April. The past 10 years of my career, I have been working for local nonprofits. I was the executive director of the American Cancer Society, as for the Beaches office, as well as St. John's and Nassau County, and I've been serving on the board of trustees for BEAM for the past 3 years. In that capacity, I'm the fundraising chair. We started the Beach Ball, which has collectively over the past 2 years raised $135,000 for the mission of keeping Beaches families in their homes. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. 2 years ago, I bought my first home right here in Jacksonville Beach, and I'm very proud to call Jacksonville Beach home. I've been actively involved and engaged in this community, again, for most of my life, and I look forward to taking that experience to the next level as a member of the City Council and bring that experience to the table with them. So for me, this campaign is about bringing a new voice and a new perspective to the city of Jacksonville Beach. We've come a long way since my days in high school, and we need to take it to the next level, attracting and keeping strong, solid businesses, having good partnerships and communications within our city, the residents, the businesses, and the government, to market Jacksonville Beach as its own community, not just an amenity of Jacksonville, and to make sure Jacksonville stays a great place to work, live, and play. I look forward to hearing your questions.
My name is John McGowan. All three of us are running for Jacksonville Beach City Council. We're this is seat one side, that's the mayor's side. So they're going to fight each other. We're going to fight each other and try not to get all bloody in the same match. You know, I ran 2 years ago, and the reason I chose to run again this year, it really came down to the issues are the same. We still have the same problems. We still have I still have the same concerns about the crime rate that's continuing to rise, and about the business environments created here, and about the lack of a family-friendly environment we have in our downtown area. I'm sure we'll be able to address a lot of those more in depth as the questions come up. A little bit about me. I grew up in Jacksonville. I am 33 years old, and I've lived in Jacksonville for 30 of those years. In the past 8, I've lived in Jacksonville Beach. I've not spent my life jumping around. When I say I've lived in Jacksonville Beach the majority of my life, it's actually the truth. I didn't just move here a few years ago. I'm a small business owner. I really am vested in this community. I'm not looking for another job opportunity. I own a business in Mayport. I've had it for 4 years. I plan on having it there until I retire, assuming the economy allows me to continue to pay the rent. It's a tough time being a business owner, and it's an interesting time. That's a perspective I can bring. I understand what it's like to struggle. I understand what it's like to not know if you're going to be able to pay that next rent payment or pay the electric bill. I have more than just a classroom knowledge of how to run a business, and that's something that we need on the council, and it's something that we've got to have. I look forward to your questions. I too have a website. It's smokemcgowan.com. On there you can actually see a lot of the plans. I've been talking about the same things for 4 years. You can get on there, you can see what my plans are for crime, my plans on for open government, my plans for making the downtown business friendly. They're the same things I've been talking about for years, but you can actually see some of the accomplishments I have. You don't actually have to be on the city council to get something accomplished. Just look at Sandy. She's done a lot, and she's not an elected official. So you don't have to wait till you get on the council to get something accomplished. She's going to ding me, I got to go.
Hello everyone, hope everyone's having a good evening. I'm thankful for everyone being here. Beaches Watch, we're hosting this event, and it's definitely a great turnout. I'm very excited. Well, I'm not from Florida. I was born and raised in California. I have 2 sisters. Both parents came here from Mexico 40 years ago. They came here for the better dream, and I'm accomplishing that. One thing that I plan on bringing is the passion, dedication, and motivation to this community. I finished my degree in 3 years, working full-time and a full-time student. If I could do that, I could definitely be a leader for this community. I've been living locally here at the beaches for almost 7 years. Been living here in Jacksonville for almost 10 years. What led me to move here? Well, I joined the United States Navy at age 18. Especially after the September 11 attacks, I decided, someone has to step up and defend this country, so I did. Hopefully I can serve all of you guys as a city council member here after August 14, when everybody has to decide who they're going to vote for. One of the other reasons why I decided to step up and run for city council, it takes a lot of courage. You have to have thick skin. The media, journalists ask you all kinds of questions. I started working at this local establishment, the Ritz and Bricks. I have been there for 7 years. It's been an amazing experience, just as it was when I was in the Navy. One of the things I've learned is working well with others. People person. I love enjoying everyone. Seeing people happy, it's one thing that I love seeing the most. One thing I love seeing too is local business here prosper. We have Angie Subs. They've opened a second restaurant. They plan on opening another one. I would like to see that happen. The beach should be a family-friendly business without disturbing the central business district. We should attract not only the young guys, but the senior citizens too as well. And come August 14, I hope you guys have made your decision. Vote Fernando Meza. Thank you.
Okay, the first question, we're going to start with Mr. McGowan. And the question is, but this is for all the candidates. Mr. McGowan will be answering first. In your opinion, what are the 2 most important issues facing the city of Jacksonville Beach, and how would you propose to address them?
Well, there's a softball question. 2 ones that really are most important to me. First is crime. I've been discussing this for 3 years now. I've been going to council meetings. We've had a growing crime problem, yes. As the crime rate around the country has gone down, the crime rate in Jacksonville Beach has gone down accordingly. But last year, we were the only city that saw, in Northeast Florida, that saw an increase in crime. We saw a 6.3% increase. We have the highest crime rate in Northeast Florida. And it may surprise you to know, last year we had the highest murder rate in Northeast Florida. We had a higher murder rate than Jacksonville. It's an unfortunate situation. I grew up in Arlington, and actually, I forgot to, well, I got dates, but my mom's here tonight. She still lives in the same house that I grew up in Arlington, and kind of watched that neighborhood go downhill. It used to be, there was a house right across the street I go play in, and last couple of years ago, they had a home invasion robbery and kicked down the front door, and it was drug related. And I saw those trends, I saw the same indicators I saw in my neighborhood over there that are showing up out in Jacks Beach, and it frightens me. I did a police ride-along 3 years ago with Officer Topic, and there was a shootout right there in Latham Plaza. It's a scary situation we're in. It's kind of a tale of two cities, though. You don't see it during the day, but if you go out at night, we definitely have, it's a major crime problem. My second biggest concern is, of the other, I have three, but we'll just say the second biggest one for me is the open government. We have to have better communication between our residents and the city, and it's up to the city to provide those avenues of communication. I've made quite a few proposals. They are available on my website about ways we can do that. I have a few accomplishments on that. Actually, for the past 3 years, I've been talking about the city creating a city email list to send out updates. I noticed a few days ago that actually has occurred on the city website. So once again, you don't have to be on the council to make a difference. Thanks.
What was the question?
In your opinion, what are the two most important issues facing the city of Jacksonville Beach, and how would you propose to address them?
Well, definitely the crime, especially in the Central Business District. I know on the weekends the crowd comes in and visits the beach, not just at daytime but at nighttime. And you have that certain crowd that comes in just to walk around and bother people. I know the police presence is the police department is doing their best to control the crowd. I know the parking issue is one of the reasons, probably was one of the reasons why we had this crime. And one of the ways to propose to try to control this, I know there's ordinances in place already that limits or that actually gives people citations for littering, drinking in public, for the vagrants who are panhandling, soliciting money out to people in the boardwalks. I know there's ordinances in place that makes that illegal. One thing is to maybe talk to the police department and see what they could do to enforce that even more. And maybe revisit some of those ordinances, see what we could do to make that a stricter ordinance for the people and keep the people safe too. The other one is when the government is going to make any decisions, they should take the citizens, the residents, into consideration. Whether it's construction, deals with taxpayers' money, whether it's dealing with minor ordinance when it comes to golf carts, like the one, there's something going on right now. Definitely the residents have to be a priority, and the business owners have to be a priority for the government if they're going to make a decision. And that's all.
I think my perspective on the biggest issues are a little bit different, maybe a little more overarching and not as specific as Sandy would like me to be. But one of the big issues that I feel is balancing downtown with the rest of the community. We have obviously a very vibrant downtown area right now, but it is taking up a lot of our resources with both police, with infrastructure, and a lot of the issues. So a lot of the issues that are really taxing the city council and the city as a whole are dealing with that downtown. And we're doing a lot of things to deal with those issues, but in some respects we're also punishing those of us who live elsewhere or aren't necessarily right in that downtown community. I would really like to see a very strong partnership with the business owners downtown, that it's not adversarial between the police and the business owners or the city and the business owners, but that we're working together to anticipate issues that are going on and coming up with some creative solutions together to solve them. I also want to see us be more progressive in bringing some family-friendly events, and even, doesn't even have to be families, but even young professional-friendly events. I would love to see us have a farmer's market, an arts market, some of those events that really attract who we want in our downtown. And those are, quite frankly, people that are going to come and spend money in our local merchants and help support those. And I know, Lorraine, I'm probably signing you on for a few more events, but I think those are the things that we want to see positively in our downtown. In that same line, and it's the same for everyone at every level of government, is the economy. And I think a strong economy in Jacksonville Beach is going to help us. with a lot of the other issues and challenges that we're facing. I want us to be more business friendly in, again, not having that adversarial nature between our businesses and government, but working together to come up with some ways to make us attractive to businesses and able to help keep businesses staying in our community and being successful. Thank you.
Good evening again. Mine's pretty simple. I just want a common sense approach to this whole thing. Number one, as far as crime goes, yeah, we do have an issue. It's evident. Everyone here knows that. One of the ways we can curtail that is the downtown business district. We probably need to look at something like Orlando has the Church Street Station or a City Walk. Maybe make that an entertainment district which consists of bars, restaurants, hotels working together to create a good, conducive family atmosphere, but also give some form of regulations that say, hey, you're not bringing the big pit bulls in that tear another dog up. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. It gives a little more governing body to the government so we can control some of that crime down there. We also have our police department currently that can control a city of 28,000 people that are trying to control a city of 100,000 people on the weekend with a heavy influx of people coming from Jacksonville. And if you've lived here for a while, that's nothing new. Everybody has been coming here for centuries to come to the beach. Look at the old photos in Jason's Deli. The beach was packed, 6 rows of cars. Parking's been an issue, crime's been an issue, it's been going on for a long time, and I quite frankly think, you know, some people in the past and present have kicked the can down the road over and over again, and now it's in our lap. Okay, so that's something that we need to look at. I think we work together collectively to come up with some good ideas and make it work. The second thing is, the most important thing to me, is our way of life is diminished. Not many of you will get in your car or on your bike and walk down First Street on a Saturday night or a Sunday night. I guarantee you. I've walked the streets of Iraq and felt safer in Iraq than I do down there. And you know, call me crazy, call me what you want. It is what it is, people. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you're looking for a political answer, I'm not going to give it to you. It is what it is. Take a walk down there. But I promise you, if you're a concealed weapons permit carrier, take a weapon with you. All right?
I think everybody has had great answers. The two that I would like to address are primarily crime and our businesses. In terms of our crime, yes, no amount of crime is acceptable at all. And if you look at the trend from when I was first elected to where we are now, crime has decreased. Originally, we had 1,538 incidences. This is from the FBI Uniform Crime Report, and now it's down to 1,411. Truly a decrease. Yes, maybe it went up last year, but overall, crime does fluctuate, but there's been a trend down. In terms of the things that we've done, we have included the community. One of the things that we did to bring down crime was the alcohol ordinance. We asked the citizens, we asked the businesses to come, and we got an overall consensus. And that was the bars were going to be held accountable for their behavior in terms of over-serving and serving our underage youth that were there. We put teeth in it for a penalty. This has been, I think, a very good ordinance. Possibly in the future, we may have to tweak it. But for right now, I think it has been a great assist to our police. One of the second things we did was to pass the parking ordinance. This is not to say that it's perfect. It's somewhat cumbersome. But the bottom line is, what we learned is that when people paid $5 and there was a person there, people didn't come, drink, do bad behaviors in their car, nor did they, sorry, that caught my attention there, nor did people rob the car, rob other cars and everything. The bottom line, we have to continue working together with the businesses and the citizens in that respect. And I am overall pleased with our business and the way that it's going. And I will, if you all have questions, you may address it later. Thank you.
The bad thing about going last is it's hard to take chopped up information and make it look fresh because everybody's kind of covered everything. But the other thing I want to mention is in 2 minutes, it's really hard to give you a good expectation of what the vision is and how to get it done. I agree with most everybody here, and I've agreed with everybody since July when I first put up my website. We do have a crime problem. The problem stems primarily from the groups of young adults that flood into our towns at night, not to visit our establishments, but to come in avoid the paid parking areas, park in neighborhoods, break out the coolers and the loud music and the pit bulls. And that's a real problem. We also have a problem with vagrancy. We have two classes of vagrants in our community and in any community. We've got those who really need some help, and we need to train our folks to identify them and get help. And then we have a group of people who live that lifestyle because they choose to live it that way. I feel very strongly that we need to address that, and there are some ways that we can do that in a humanitarian method, but we don't need to sacrifice the rights of the business owners and the people who are getting money out of the ATM at Publix on Beach Boulevard, and we need to get that under control. The third thing is the parking. I believe the parking is a big element of the crime problem because we do push our folks that come to visit out of the downtown area and into the neighborhoods, and that's creating a problem for homeowners, particularly close to Jacksonville Beach downtown district. The other thing is economic development. We're really, really in trouble. A lot of folks don't realize this, but some of our largest businesses on First Street are under a Chapter 11 protection. We really need to stimulate our economy, and I've got some good plans to do that, but I'm almost out of time, so thank you.
The second question, we will start with Ms. Christian. And this question is for all the candidates. If elected, how would you propose to manage the unsustainable Jacksonville Beach pension obligation?
I think that's a very difficult question to answer. For many years, the pension fund was exceptional in terms of the amount of return that we had and the little amount that the city had to put into the pension fund. As you know, when the bottom dropped out of the market, indeed, that meant that the city had to put more funds into our pension. At this point in time, when you watch it going up right now, the pension fund is roughly funding itself about 70 to 75%, which leaves now for the city to fund about 25% or thereabouts. The pension fund issue is extremely difficult, and I don't think can be handled all in one thing. Surely I can stand up here and say, for our new employees, we can have them do a 401k. Many of the things for our pension funds are mandated from the state legislature, which means that we're going to have to work around that. There are some issues, but they are extremely legal and very complex. And I think that we're going to, as a city, have to get that information. We already are working with some lawyers in Tallahassee, but to try and gather the information and then to try and make that decision, I do not even begin to understand all the complexities nor the legalities that are concerned with the pension plan. I do know that some of the basic things, such as the 401k, that's a good thing. It doesn't hurt anyone. We've got to maintain somehow how the pension fund can still exist, but it will change in its form, I'm sure. I just cannot say how, and I think it's just too complex for any of us really to address here tonight. Thank you.
We have an epidemic when it comes to pensions. They're completely and totally non-sustainable. We're watching the large cities that have been around and incorporated longer than Jacksonville Beach all over the country begin to fail and declare bankruptcy. We can't continue to keep going the way that we're going. We do have some ability to work within the legislature to push very hard for our rights to enforce our own pension requirements and to push to save our own economy by just what was just mentioned, by putting a grandfather clause for everybody that's currently working for the city, the fire department, the police department, city employees, and then start with the new people, creating a pay-as-you-go or a pay-per system where they'll come in and contribute to some support plans for their insurance, some support plans for their 401k investments, and that's the way it works out in the real world. One of the advantages to being a city employee or a federal employee for many, many years has been, man, I got to do my 20 and I'm out, and I'm good for the rest of my life. It's a great vision, it's a great plan. I hope to do it myself in the military. It didn't work out that way. But nobody can sustain that. So we've got to be aggressive with the state and lobby the state legislature on our own to meet goals that we need to meet locally and keep our city sustainable, to keep our budgets in control, our general funds under control, and to keep our employees protected and happy. I feel very strongly that we need to look after all the employees of Jacksonville Beach. And with a failing economy, we know that it's going to be up to us to find ways to stimulate the economy, to provide additional resources for them, and to work hard to sustain our own budget for many, many generations. Thank you.
I'd first like to say, as a retired Jacksonville fireman, I can understand where this is coming from. But I think it boils down to one thing. Somebody has to take ownership for what you put in front of the city employee. This is no different than if I told everybody in this audience tonight, I said, next week, Facebook's going to come out with an IPO. If you all give me $10 tonight, next Friday I'll give you $10,000. Everyone in this room would do it because that's a business decision. The majority of the pension plan stuff that's presented to the employees is a hiring perk. So, you know, yeah, when you go to get a job, you look at, okay, when I start, where am I going to be 30 years from now? That's what we all look at, right? Everybody looks at that. Where am I going to be? And at the end of the day, you do want to retire. Yep, I retired at a young age. I got out without hepatitis, AIDS, tuberculosis, the whole 9 yards. And I survived. But so don't hold me accountable for something that a politician put into place. And I am not a politician. I do understand that money's tight. Money's real tight for everybody out here. And I actually own a personal business. And I understand that, you know, I have to have my own 401k and direct myself in the right fashion so I can retire at some time. You know, many of you are doing that now. Many of you sitting in this audience right now on the verge of bankruptcy or losing your home. I've been there. That's not a fun time. I think what we do is we start out with accountability and say, you put it in front of us and you help us fix it. I don't think you just go and chop it from somebody and say, hey, you got to do this now. That gives an employee a sour taste in their mouth. We'll lose a lot of employees. We need to work together collectively to figure this out. I think accountability boils down to the politician.
Well, definitely with the pension, you know, a lot of people when they apply for a job or a career, definitely, they look at what benefits they're going to get, 401k, what kind of pension plan they're going to receive after they retire, working 20, 30 years, whether they're going to get health care benefits, dental, the eye care. That's definitely a perk, especially working for the city. You know, it's not everyone can get a job with the city. And I know, I'm not real familiar with the pension program, but what Charlie Latham said, we definitely have to go down to the state and hammer them down and have them held accountable for whatever decision they have made before. Not every pension that's out there in the city right now or around the nation is facing troubles. We may be facing some kind of financial trouble. Another city might be facing harder economic troubles. The only thing that I could think of is get everyone around from the council members to the mayor and solve the solution, solve the problem, and see what we can figure out to make things better for the city workers and those who are looking forward to retire after 20, 30 years. That's all. Thank you.
Wow, Sandy, thank you. I think if I had the answer to that question, there would be a couple thousand cities that I would be hiring myself out as a consultant to right this very minute. It's a question that a lot of municipalities are certainly facing. One thing I will say, though, is that we have a very financially or fiscally run city, in my opinion. We have a great credit rating. We've done a really good job taking advantage of a good economy and a bad economy as well. So that we're not in the same straits as a lot of other cities that you're hearing about every day, cutting their city employees down to minimum wage and things like that. So I do feel good about the financial position that we're in. Is the growth of the pension obligation going to be easy to deal with in the future? It's definitely not. And I think that that's something that anyone who's currently on the city council will tell anyone who's running for the city council is something that we're all going to have to deal with and really face head on. In my opinion, we do need to keep an eye on Tallahassee, not just in this respect, but in any unfunded mandate mandates that come out, and even federally, there's unfunded mandates that come out that we have to deal with. So that's something that we need to be vigilant on and look out for our city on. But at the end of the day, we need to be fair. We need to recognize that people have made life decisions based on these pensions. And we need to have a good plan going forward so that, to quote someone earlier, we don't keep kicking this problem down the road and have to deal with it, an even larger problem in the future.
Do we have any policemen, firefighters, or city employees in the room today? Anybody want to like to put a face on it? I mean, you got to remember, we are talking about people's lives here. This is not an abstract conversation we're having. This is people's income and people's lives, and you got to take it serious. Now, I've actually put a lot of thought into this pension issue. We take advantage of the good economy, and then when the bad economy comes around, we want to say, well, we can't afford to pay for it anymore, and we got to be consistent with this. Our city is not in dire straits. If I was running for Jacksonville City Council, we'd be having a little different conversation right now, but this is the city of Jacksonville Beach. And let me tell you a little secret that doesn't get talked about a lot is we have a pretty high turnover in our police and fire and, departments. And that actually helps keep down our pension costs because if you leave before you're vested, the amount that the city's put in stays in the pension. Then the person that's not vested gets to take home with them what the remainder they paid in. So we get to keep a little bit. That's how we managed to keep our pensions under control for so long. As far as how to deal with it, yes, there's a national issue. There's a national debate going on with this. There will be a point in time where we're going to have to address this. But I don't think Jacksonville Beach, with its 63 police officers and fewer firefighters and the city employees need to be the ones leading the charge on the nation for this. We need to let Jacksonville fight it out. We need to let Miami fight it out. We need to let Orlando fight it out. We need to watch what they do. Let them sit there and deal with the fights and deal with the legal costs and battle this out, and then let them sit on it for a little bit. Then after 5 years, we'll sit down and we'll see, was what they're doing work? Is that becoming the national standard? And at that point in time, we need to look at it. But there's absolutely no reason that we need to be sitting here and we need to be fighting this fight when what we're talking about is actually a relatively small amount. Thanks.
The third question, we will start with Ms. Hoffman, and this question is for all candidates. If you could implement one change that could improve public safety in Jacksonville Beach, what would that be?
Another excellent question, Sandy. Thank you. And I'm so glad that I'm up first to have some time to think about that. This is a really simple, a very simple change, and I couldn't really even tell you how much impact it would have. I would really love to see our police officers get out of their cars a little more often. It sounds very simple. I've done a couple ride-alongs now. I think that it's symbolic of not only just being able to be out there to meet the people, to meet the business owners, but just to have that presence there. We do see them driving through our neighborhoods and they have a presence, but I think if we can see each other as partners instead of adversaries between the visitors, the business owners, and the residents, and just really be side by side on the streets to see what the real issues are and to be more of a presence physically and just in terms of what our visitors and businesses are seeing. So it's a very simple thing. It's not a huge, again, I probably won't be selling myself as a consultant for that idea, but I think that is something that our police could do very easily to really get out there and see relationship building and partnerships with our businesses.
As I said in my opening statement, I've done a lot of work on this crime issue for the past few years, and it's hard to say just one thing, but if I had to just say one thing that we could do to help reduce the crime out here, that was the question, right? Yeah.
Improve public safety.
Yeah, reduce the crime. It's going to be cracking down on smaller crimes. See, we created an atmosphere in that downtown area where pretty much anything goes. And when people feel free to walk around with an open container, feel free to ride around with a drink on their bicycle, it creates an atmosphere where they know I can get away with that. What else can I get away with? And so if you crack down on the smaller crimes, it prevents the bigger crimes from coming about. And Chris mentioned earlier that she felt like there was a lot of unnecessary focus on the downtown area, but there's a reason there's a lot of focus on the downtown area. And our police get fixated on that because that's where all the violent crime is happening. Unfortunately, the more we get fixated in the downtown area where all the violent crime is happening, that takes away from police in our neighborhoods. And as they pull into that, as they pull away, that's when the petty crimes are in our neighborhoods. That's why you see an increase in your cars getting broken into and your houses getting broken into. If we crack down simply on the smaller crimes, we'll begin to get out of control. I've got some time, so I'm going to talk about a couple other reasons for that. Other things we can do, we need to increase the number of officers. We have 63 officers currently. We are funded we have enough officers for a city of 23,000, which is great on Monday afternoon. We are not a city of 23,000 on Saturday and Sunday. We double or triple that. And with Jacksonville Sheriff's Office laying off officers, that means we're not going to have as much support from them when we have these special events. So we need to staff up for that. Now here's a way to staff up. Central Business District has additional revenues that are funded through the whatever it's called. But there's special revenues that have to be used in the Central Business District. Currently, we fund 4 police officers through a program called CAPE. They are dedicated for that downtown area. They cannot leave that downtown area. They're the ones you see walking around. So we have enough money in that fund to fund additional officers. We were offered that a few months ago, and the city turned it down. Thanks.
One thing that I could probably think of one change to help public safety is not just for police officers to get out of the cars and walk, but for the city officials to actually walk around and take that input and take it into the chambers when they have to talk and meet and see what kind of solutions they can come up with, and not just leave it up to the business owners and people who are complaining about the problem, and of course, the police officers that come back with any feedback. Definitely what I've done in the past with the job that I have, I always leave what I have to do to make sure that everyone's doing okay. Well, as a city official, one thing one could do is walk around the Central Business District, whether it's biking, on a skateboard, on the boardwalk, just to see and write notes down and see what's going on. Take that feedback back, like I said before, set a goal or a plan with the police department and see what needs to be improved just besides the small crimes and the big crimes. Take all that, work with it, just like I've been repeating myself, and maybe we could work something out to keep the public safe. Thank you.
I think that we're all in agreement that we've got an issue that needs to be resolved. And I also believe that if you go down to St. John's Town Center and take a look around, you feel pretty comfortable taking your kids there and walking around. Same thing with the Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach Town Center. It's a good place to be, you feel comfortable, and it's an inviting environment. We lost that. We lost it a while ago, and we need to get it back. And the way to get it back is, first and foremost, we need to have at least 2 beat officers downtown more than we have now, on segways, bicycles, or walking. I'd also like to see a substation downtown with a cell that would hold 15 or 20 people. And then we need to let people know that we take our law seriously and we take our respect to our businesses and our citizens seriously. And if you're going to come in and disrespect our city and disrespect our citizens, you're going in that little holding cell. And let people know that we're not going to take that in Jacksonville Beach anymore. It's not really that complicated. And it's all about attitude and setting an example and letting people know that this is the way it's going to be. I would encourage everybody to thank a police officer when you see them. I think they're horribly overworked. I think they're grossly taken for granted. And I'd like to see a few more on the force. I'd like to see the police officers given an opportunity to advance and be paid well and get good insurance for their families. And I think that's a critical issue. I did do a study on my own of 9 similar cities, similar demographics, and I got from their cities pay schedules and numbers per population. We're not in bad shape in that regard, but where we are in bad shape is
We're not giving our guys enough opportunity to insure their family without working extra jobs and extra hours. And I'd love to see the pay come up for the policemen and the firemen, and I'd love to see the STEP program re-implemented. But first and foremost is extra officers. Thank you.
As a retired fireman paramedic, I've worked downtown with a lot of the police and fire, and you know what we really have to realize, this has been going on for centuries here again. Back in the old times when the police were downtown, they were actually assisted by a lot of the Mayport policemen and things like that. That might be an option. What we really have to do is become proactive, not reactive. We got to get out here and figure out what's going on. Well, what's going on? They're taking over our town. Our police, there again, we have a force that can control 20,000 people, but we're asking them to control 100,000 people. It's impossible. I mean, and it's been going on for years. But you got to admit, even some of the people that have been around here a long time, you know that. So once we become proactive and try to figure this out, you know, we can actually make this happen. It's an easy thing to, well, I shouldn't say easy. It is something we can do. It's achievable, okay? But we've got to identify that this can's been kicked down the road a long time too. And you got to say, look, we're asking these guys to do an awful lot with an awful little. And actually, I've gone to several officers that have actually been hurt in crowds down there. And I'm telling you, when you got one of your guys in blue that's hurt, it's a whole different ball of wax. Things change. And you as a resident don't get to feel what we're going through. And it's a life and death situation. So what we actually need to do is we need to become proactive. We need to get out here with programs. We need to get out here with the businesses. There again, like I say, create maybe a Church Street station or something like that where we can all work together collectively, from the bar owners, the restaurants and everything, to look out for one another collectively. Not just one cop trying to look out for all of us. It won't work. We got to all look out for each other. Thank you.
In terms of our crime downtown, we've certainly passed ordinances. The bottom line is we can't hire more officers now. That's not an option in our budget. I do want to say that we have tried to hire some reserves, and I think we've got kind of the most awesome police force. They are doing an unbelievable job. Stretched thin, but they get it done. That I am deeply appreciative. The important thing, I do agree with Mr. McGowan. What he's talking about is what they call the broken window theory. Strict enforcement is one of the ways. They did this in New York, and they found that it really did reduce crime. I think that our police department has been doing that and been doing a very good job. I think that, as you know, some of our resources are downtown. People seem to feel like maybe they're not out in the other communities. I would like to challenge some of you to volunteer. I think our citizens on patrol, like Ms. Oswald there, have done an unbelievable job of assisting our police officers in terms of the tasks that they do. I mean, from issuing tickets to helping with traffic to doing all different kinds of things. And I'm putting more of a burden on you, or a challenge, and that is Neighborhood Watch. I think it's up to us to take some of that responsibility and to start more neighborhood watches, to have email collections within your particular neighborhood. These are things that don't cost anything, but that certainly could help our police. I am just, once again, I look for the day when we can give raises and possibly to hire more policemen, but the time is now, and I do appreciate their efforts. Thank you.
When balancing the city's budget, what alternatives would you support in lieu of raising taxes? Please be specific when explaining the alternatives you would support, and don't just say cut wasteful spending.
There's certain things that we must have and things that we don't need. So let's look at that and say, you know, we really don't really need this right now. Let's hold off till next year or the following year or whatever. You know, I think that's it's pretty important that we put these people in those type positions at the head of the class, if you will, to monitor, control the monies. It's not an open checkbook, you know. So I think that we hold some of those department heads accountable with regards to that. Secondly, the employee turnover rate is staggering. Just as someone said earlier, and I don't recall who it was. Yeah, they may leave before we have to pay them a pension, whatever, I get that. However, to train a fireman or firewoman from the day they're called, hey, come take a test, come take your physical, and so forth, all the way through to the end of their probationary period, is about $120,000. We've lost approximately 10 firemen in the past 5 years. The police, I can't even tell you how many we've lost. I think the number's probably the same. Gene Paul back there could attest to that. They have lost a lot of people. It's not because of management. It's not because of what the police are doing to them. It's there's no future. They take away their step raises. They don't know where they're going. You know, there's like a wandering body. If we slow down the attrition rate, think about that for a second. We probably could add a lot more money back into the general fund and operate a little bit better. You know, so those are some of the things we really need to look at with regards to the budget. Thank you.
Ms. Christian, let me just repeat the question because we had to change the videotape. When balancing the city's budget, what alternatives would you support in lieu of raising taxes? Please be specific when explaining the alternatives you would support and don't just say cut wasteful spending.
Cut wasteful spending. Anyway, you know, government is just going to have to continue to get leaner and to prioritize. And it's going to be kind of taking your values into consideration also. We have repeatedly cut the budget, and I am very proud of what our city has done. We have, when cut particularly employees, we have tried not to do that by firing. As attrition has occurred, I think we've tried to do it humanely. The city has a lot fewer employees than it did 8 years ago. I've also opposed water and sewer rate increases. Even though there was a slight increase that the council voted for, they will drop back down. There was an alleged, quote, tax increase that I was blamed for, but indeed it was the rollback rate, which meant that it was the same amount of dollars. In terms of the millage, this is going to be a very tricky question coming up. And once again, I want you to come to the budget hearing because we want to hear what you have to say about the budget. We have improved the city's financial soundness, and I am deeply appreciative of this. We're only a few years away from being debt-free. How many municipalities can say that? But we mustn't, try and do some radical things that could get that out of balance. I am not endorsed by any employee unions because I know that they won't be, afraid to endorse me because what we can afford and what's fair to our employees. Thank you.
Jacksonville Beach is a $163 million a year business. It needs to run like a business. We do have money, and we do have the money that we can put where we want to put it. I've been to several city council meetings in the last couple of years where we've made decisions that are nice to have items that could have provided funding for 1 or 2 police officers. A couple of recent examples, the tennis court resurfacing over here in South Park in the last city council meeting was voted down by council, and I salute you for that because that's money that could be going to law enforcement and at least back into the coffers. We weren't as lucky with the lights for the adult softball field. We put $100,000 into that instead of putting a police officer downtown. So I respectfully disagree that we don't have money. We have money. We just have to be careful how we use it. Any business goes through hard times, and any business has to reapportion their resources to take care of the needs and the health and the safety of that business. It's no different for a municipality. We need to run Jacksonville Beach like a business. We need to take care of citizens like shareholders. And we need to open our eyes to what's important. The budget is something that needs to be managed by council and not presented to council. As a mayor and as a member of city council, I would take very, very seriously my fiduciary responsibilities to make sure that I went through every budget myself with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that we were making good, positive decisions. There are different trends in our cycle as a city. We have good times and we have bad times. We need to be responsive to those times as we evolve. So let's look a little bit more carefully at what's really important right now. What's really important right now is getting that family-friendly image downtown. Let's get people downtown. When the people get downtown, more people follow, and then more businesses begin to follow. Thank you.
Okay, things we can cut. Huguenot Park has a private tennis court that operates at a loss every year of $80,000. We are subsidizing private tennis lessons to the public at a cost of $400 per person. We spent $100,000 to replace the softball lights right down, the adult softball lights. Charlie brought up the tennis courts. Well, we did not do it this year. They did do it 2 years ago. The tennis courts, when they resurfaced it, they didn't just put in concrete tennis courts. I grew up in Arlington. I snuck into the high school. I played on a tennis court. And there was cracks, and that's what I played on as a kid. Tennis courts we put in. Can't get passionate on losing voice. Tennis courts we put in were designed to compete with Sawgrass, TPC, and Ponte Vedra. We are a public tennis court. We do not need to compete with private tennis courts. Earlier this year, we spent $20,000 per year to put GPS units on the golf carts at the golf course. Earlier this year, we spent $900,000 to design the improvements in the downtown area from Beach Boulevard south to 5th Avenue. $900,000, not to build it, to design it. Now yes, that did not come out of the general fund, it came out of the redevelopment funds, but as I told you earlier, we can't fund officers out of the redevelopment fund. That same council meeting, we spent $100,000 to design a new building, not to build a building. There is tons of waste. All you have to do is actually look at it and not just rubber stamp everything that comes before the council. And it really just comes down to priorities. You know, we've got to get our priorities in line. What is the basic role of government? The basic role of government is infrastructure and public safety. That's top priority. We don't need to be talking about cutting anything like police and firefighters and stuff like that until we cut all the other stuff that's a frivolous, which is great to have when the good times are here, but when there's a tough budget time, they need to go. Thanks.
Well, can I say increase budget cuts? I mean, fiscal spending? Okay. Definitely, there's a lot of wasteful spending. I know we had to prioritize our priorities. Public safety infrastructure, like John McGowan said, it should be the priority. It should never be cut. You know, a month and a half ago, I think there was a design that it was $82,000 just for the design for the building that was approved. Just for the design itself, $82,000. I think I could have probably designed it myself if I was a good artist. But there's a trend going on, especially when I'm with the economy. You know, when the economy was flowing, there was money everywhere, and people were, the governments were spending. When I was in the military, I was in charge of the supply department for my division. And I went up to my divisional officer and told him, why can't we just go to Office Depot and Home Depot and buy our supplies? It costs a lot cheaper, and whatever money extra we have, we could use that to buy the uniforms that we have to use on deployment. You know, for example, gloves, goggles, or boots. But my division officer told me to, you know, stay in my pay grade. Fortunately, you know, that was just an opinion. Well, we could do that here with the city government. I know there's contracts that have to be, whoever gets the lowest bid gets the contract. Well, we have to cut the wasteful spending. Yes, we may have the money, we may not have the money. But one thing is that we have to do a lot better as a city government is to send that money that we do have to public safety. Public safety is important. People want to feel safe. People feel safe, they're going to come in, businesses are going to come in and spend money. That's going to bring revenue, and we shouldn't even have to worry about wasteful spending if we have the money that's coming into the city. Thank you.
Well, everyone said everything already, so I'm going to talk about food trucks. Just kidding. Honestly, we're laughing. I really thought we were going to have some food truck questions today. No, obviously, cutting wasteful spending is the number one thing. In a lean budget time, amenities are the first thing to go in our government as well as even in our personal lives. So things like the golf course and tennis courts, those need to be self-funding. We need to set those up for success, and if they can't afford to do the niceties, then we should not be doing them. something that hasn't been touched on. There's a lot of things, you know, I live here. I want to be able to have I want to have some nice things too. I want to have the nice events. I want to have the nice resources, which are part of why I moved to Jacksonville Beach and bought my house here. But we also need to look for alternative sources of funding for those things. For example, some of our downtown events, I'm not going to mention the F word, but fireworks could potentially have a public-private partnership. Maybe some of the businesses that are impacted by having lost those crowds this year could pitch in for that. The Moonlight movies, the Pops concerts, the jazz concerts. We need to really be more aggressive and progressive in getting some partnerships for those, because those are bringing business to the beach. The hotels, if our hotels are full, we're getting a portion of that bed tax money. So a full hotel is great for our city too. It's a small amount, but it's still going towards our coffers for promoting such events. So what everybody else said, and plus being much more progressive on seeking other sources of funding and partnerships.
Okay, we're going to wrap up the forum at this point. We're going to have closing statements, and we are going to start with Mr. Meza.
Well, the forum's over. Maybe some of you are ready to go home and watch some TV. I have to go to work. Well, I hope everyone learned something about every single one of us. You know, every candidate here that's running for mayor and for this seat, we all have different values and different issues that we want to address, different ways of solving problems. But one thing that I wasn't able to finish when I was doing my opening statement was when I said I was a bartender. I'm not just a bartender. You know, I do care about this community. If I make money, I have bills to pay. I mean, I pay my bills. This is a municipality that depends not only on visitors, but on the local people. I support local businesses. I want to promote them as much as I can, just as I promote other businesses, not just restaurants and bars, but the clothing shops, the boutiques. One of the other things, you know, we have some empty private lots down next to Castle Marina. I would like to see something go there. Maybe seek out investors that are willing to invest in this community to make, you know, boutiques, maybe a bookstore that will attract not just the young crowd, but maybe those people that don't like to drink or have a good time can go out there and read a book and enjoy the ocean breeze. Maybe bring, you know, an aquarium. Stuff like that is important. You know, I'm not just a bartender. I do care about this community, and I will continue to help this community as much as I can, wherever I can. And August 14th, don't forget to vote. If you haven't made a decision on who you're going to vote for city council, I'll vote to me, Fernando Meza. Thank you very much.
So I want to start by saying thank you to Sandy and Beaches Watch for putting this forum together. I hope that it's been informative to all of you. Thank all of you as well for coming out. And I, in particular, want to thank those that are serving as elected officials or have served as elected officials and the people behind me on the stage. It's a lot of work, and to run for office, we're really putting ourselves out there, and we're putting our friends out there too. So I'd like to thank my friends who are here supporting. They come to the air-conditioned event, but where are they going to be at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning when I need them to help me knock on doors? And speaking of knocking on doors, I have been doing that for a few months now, and it's my favorite part of campaigning. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do, but I haven't knocked on a single door yet where the person that answered it doesn't love living in Jacksonville Beach. They may have their issues, they may have a complaint here or there, but overall, people love living here, and I love living here, and I think it's so important that we recognize the issues aside, the issues you've heard about aside, overall, we live in a really great community. I'm looking forward to serving this community as a member of the City Council. One of the things that I bring to the table is that I can listen. As soon as I stop listening or think I have all the answers, then we have a problem. But as far as I can tell, I'm going to keep listening and consider the short-term impacts of every decision that I make, as well as the long-term. What is this going to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, as far as what is Jacksonville Beach going to look like. So I appreciate your time tonight. I would definitely appreciate your vote on August 14th if you hadn't heard yet. And I will be back at our table, and I also have a website, votechrishoffman.com, and I am also on Facebook, so look forward to speaking with you all.
2 years ago when I ran, I was the crazy guy up here talking about the crime and talking about open government, and talking about the business environment. And I got to tell you, it's a relief to see all these people that have come to my side and are agreeing with me. It's you know, I like that people have gotten involved and care about these issues. And I applaud Fernando for getting involved and Chris for getting involved. It's an interesting time. We need all of y'all involved in the community, and we need all of y'all to come to council meetings. And council meetings don't just happen during campaign season. You can come to them all year round. It's a great time to see what's going on in your government. That's a great opportunity to voice your opinion on the issues that are coming up. And you got to really stay diligent on seeing what's coming up on those agendas and make sure you know what's coming up in the meetings. But it's a good opportunity for y'all. Again, my name's John McGowan. I'm a small business owner around here. I'm invested in this community. Lived here for all my life, and I look forward to representing you on the council. Thanks.
It's been a great night, and thank you guys for coming and listening. I want to tell you, I think one of the most important things for me is investing in your community. That's what makes the fiber of our community strong. You know, and I say we, I'm talking particularly about Sam, my husband, and I. We've invested a lot in this community. We've worked here. We've volunteered here. We've raised our kids here. And we've invested financially in this community. A lot of you have done the same. For those of you who haven't, I ask you to get even more involved. You know me. I've stood up for you in the past. I'm going to stand up for you in the future. And I hope that you will vote for me and tell your friends to vote for me. And Jacksonville Beach is a great place to live. Thank you.
Wow, 2 minutes goes by fast. I'm telling you, I came in here with all these great things to spew, and I just haven't had the chance to do it. So, like everybody else, I'd like to thank you for being here. And I'd like to encourage you, too, to go to our websites and take a look. Sandy was kind enough to put together about a 15-question questionnaire, and I believe you'll be posting those online here shortly. My answers were 11 pages. So I'm one of these guys that's really into the details. I started this venture in July of last year, and I walked around and I met with about 550 business owners, and I talked to them about what their concerns were. And then, like Chris, I mean, we just finished our 5,000th house last week, and I've got several volunteers in the room that have done it with me, and I'm just so deeply touched by the support of the folks who are working with me. But there's a lot to do, and I'd ask you to think about it really carefully, what's important to you. I know that everybody came here supporting a specific candidate for the most part. Maybe some of you came to get an idea of what's going on. But I got to tell you, if you believe in your heart that downtown is good to go and that we're safe and that there's not a crime problem or a vagrant problem, and if you believe in your heart that the businesses are in good shape and that we're coming up with all these hundreds of new businesses, then you need to vote for my opponent. If you believe in your heart that that Jacksonville Beach should become Fort Lauderdale, and then we should put a central business, entertainment center downtown, and cater to the young adults, then you need to vote for my opponent. If you believe in your heart that we need to get downtown under control, create a great family environment for our kids again, where we can walk downtown without the fear of being beat up for money or drugs being sold in our vicinity and watch our businesses die. If you believe in your heart that the economic development of our businesses is going to take a businessman to run the initiatives, I ask you with all my heart, please vote for me. My name is Charlie Latham. Thank you.
Everyone can have tomorrow off, just tell them Sandy said so, all right? I just want to say thanks for coming out again, taking time out of your day. You know, money's tough to come by, and it's tough to come in here and listen to all of us, you know, give you a big pipe dream. It's pretty simple for me. We need to look at everything from a clear perspective. You know, I stated my questions that I think we should take the city manager's current salary, he's going to be leaving, a portion of that, and hire a promoter. The promoter needs to work collectively with the environment, which is the community, and promote that community from a global perspective, from two perspectives. One from real estate, and another from our venue perspective. You know, I don't know if y'all know, there's a little team across the bridge called the Jaguars. They actually have 10 away games this year. Why can't we have those 10 away games at our amphitheater down here that's boarded up, that's not being used? Why don't we get Shah Khan and say, hey, I think we need a little help down here. Let's have the games down here. Let's view these, you know, these away games and support our team. Let's get positive out here. I'm not actually asking the young crowd to come out, because I'm 44. I'm young, and everybody in here is as young as you want to be. Okay? So in the end, if you want a politician or a lobbyist, vote for my opponent. Don't vote for me. I'm the guy that's going to turn it upside down and turn it on its head and say, this is what it is. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Vote for a politician if you don't want it.
And please join me in thanking our candidates for being here tonight. And I also want to thank our volunteers who helped organize this event tonight. Thank you all. Also go to Facebook and like Beaches Watch so you can keep up with some of the things that we're posting on our Facebook page. And as a reminder, please vote on August 14th, or you can early vote because early voting is August 4th through August 11th. There you can vote at the Beaches Branch Library, or you can go online and we have the website, the Supervisor of Elections website, where you can find other early voting locations, their times and dates. So anyway, please vote, and thank you all for coming tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful evening.